領域展開無料空所
So you want to know how to animate cursed energy. Well, buckle up. This is going to be the most grueling, the most complicated, the most asinine simple. It's exceedingly simple. Don't believe me? Here are my instructions. Art software. All right, first we're gonna break it down into 3 sections. As long as you have an art software, you can do all 3 of these. 1, we're gonna observe. 2, we're going to apply. 3, we are going to composite. In Japan, they call it photography. I don't know if that's spelled right. I can't spell. First step, observe. What does this mean? We are going to be dissecting a bunch of cuts from Jujutsu Kaisen with the cursed energy, and we're going to see how they draw it. 2, we're going to apply those methods. So we're going to use those same methods to create an outline for what it is. And then after that, we are going to composite it onto a drawing. After it's all done, it should look like this. Wow, so cool. And if you want to see more tutorials like this, make sure to subscribe because this channel is dying. Anyways, back to the video. You ready? Okay, easy. We're seeing this outline around a blue aura. Now the blue aura isn't equal. It's not equal. It looks equal, it's not equal. It's brighter towards the edges. But all of the cursed energy around a person is encapsulated with these black brush, this black brush. These little stragglers on the end, sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. It depends on the animator. And what's really interesting about cursed energy is that when it gets to these frames, so what it is it's completely black, and then they draw the light onto it. So these are the lines that are being drawn. And even in this, you could tell that the actual shape is made by the black ink and not the light. The light is being added on afterwards. Notice when she activates it, it's completely black ink. So when it's active, they only do the black ink and then they add a little bit of the blue into it. And then it goes into this flow. Now, what's interesting about the flow, this is the second aspect now that it's actually on, is it is like a fluid. It's like if you took fire and it was underwater. I know that doesn't make that much sense, but if you took fire and it was underwater and it slowed down, that is what we're talking about. Now, again, this isn't a full thing because different animators animate it differently. There is creative freedom here. There's no super, this is exactly how it's supposed to be animated. In this scene, it's animated like a spark because it's a nail hitting the straw doll. So it's like a little spark at the bottom and it just switches between the 3 frames. This is a good example of the type that we are going to be drawing today because it's the easiest. It's very simple, and at the end of it, it just cycles between 3 frames. So we have Ichidori, and we have the cursed energy flowing out in these frames. It looks complicated, but in reality, what it is just basically drawing 3 different paths for lines, and then repeating it over and over and over with a little bit of blue underneath. So we're gonna go into the art program, and I'm gonna show you how to do exactly that. I actually don't know how far his little jacket goes. Oh, it's like a jumpsuit almost. So it doesn't even go out that far. No, bro has a low taper fade. I forgot. I was like, why does this look so odd? It's because bro has a low taper fade. I completely forgot. Anyone I can't draw Jujutsu Kaisen's art style. I'm so revival coded. I'm so revival coded. If you didn't know, that's my animated series. Alright, well, it's not perfect, but this is my Itadori of the little time that I had. Now that it's done, we are going to move on to the next phase. What we're going to do now is I'm going to create a frame outside of this in animation mode on Firealpaca. If you don't have animation mode, that's fine. It's just a new layer, and then dim the old layer, like take it off, or just turn down the opacity and go to the next layer. I'm gonna do this inside the folder. So in any animation software, what you would basically be doing is creating 3 frames of animation with 2 layers. 1 layer with Yuji, or whatever character you want to animate the cursed energy on, and then another frame that's completely blank. So that's the one we're going to be working on now. Let's do 6 frames on loop. We're doing 6 frames. 6 frames. Not 4, not 3. Some people do 3. I don't like the way that 3 looks, so we're doing 6. We are going to get a pen style. So if you do this with a normal pen, you can go around and you can make any shape you want. So right now I kind of want it wide here and then droop off near the top. This is a normal pen, right? With normal pen pressure. It looks okay. But if you look what we were looking at before, there's a lot of detail. It looks like ink. So if you can find a pen style that kind of captures that, that'll be for the best. There's a couple I have. The Hikoryugawa Type C, it has a little bit more variance to it. That's what I use for Revival, the animated series. Link in description. Let me plug what I want to plug, okay? Let me plug. The one that I actually prefer the most to do this, it is the Poofy Oily Pen 2 in Firealpaca's brush store that you get for free if you get Firealpaca SE. It's whatever. You can find a billion brushes that do this, stuff like this. This is just my favorite to get this effect. So just make sure you have a lot of variance in the lines. We're gonna go light and heavy. We're gonna go. Okay, so that would be the first frame. Then the second frame, we're gonna have this little bit come up a little bit more. This is still sporadic. This is like fading off into nothing as a new one is about to be made. This just finally breaks off. Hit delete. You see, if you have it in the middle of 2 layers or the middle of 2 frames in your animation software, you can get an onion skin of both of them. This would be in, you'd find this in the animation mode in Firealpaca. Boom, 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 boom. So let's see how that looks. Not bad, not bad. Obviously not 20 FPS, let's say 12 FPS. Yeah, it could use with some variance, like have a little bit of a swell around it. So a lot of them do this thing where like you can feel it kind of like swell up around. Okay, so we are firmly in 2. Let's get that away from there. Our next order of business is to take every frame and we're gonna put a new layer. So now we have 3 layers of animation per frame. Whatever software you do, just add another layer in between your picture and the cursed energy. And this is very specific. The thing about cursed energy is that it does not usually perpetrate the black ink. The black ink is as dark as possible, and in order to keep it that way, we're going to have to do all of the blue underneath. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the next layer and we're gonna set it at 50% opacity. Every art software is capable of this. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna wanna take that same pen style that you've been using, 50% in the middle layer, and you're gonna take a very vibrant color and you're gonna wanna paint it in. Remember, you don't want it to go over your inking, your lines. This is example of 1 frame. And if I unopacicize this, would you look at that? It looks like cursed energy. Isn't that so sick? Isn't that so cool? Obviously, it's still got a little bit of work to do, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that with all of these, and I will join you right back. Try to keep it as in the lines as you can. If it leaks out a little, that's good. It'll add a little bit to the flare, but only if it's sparingly. Whoa, would you look at that? Look at that. It's a good effect. It's a good effect. It works very well. Okay, now we're on to step 3. If you wanted to leave it like this, it would look fine. I think it looks okay. But we can make it a little better. We can make it a little more oomphy. You know what I mean? Now, not all cursed energy is like this. Again, it depends on the animator, but as I mentioned before, most of them are brighter around the edge. And on the edge, it's more of a turquoise color. So you're gonna move the slider down to get a more turquoise color. And on the edges, you're gonna go around to that middle layer. There we go. Now again, you don't have to be perfect. Even if the average person doesn't notice them, there will be the people who look at it really, really closely, and they will see it and they will appreciate it. They'll be like, wow, you put so much effort into that tiny little detail. That's so cool of you. And that's what I want all of you Jujutsu Kaisen animators to do. You are my special guys. Composite your shit. Boom. So that's all 5 of those. Again, very small change. Very, very small change. Next, what I'm going to do is in this layer, I'm going to take an airbrush. Again, most art softwares have this. We're going to go to the original color that we had before, which I forgot to save. Don't do that. I'm gonna add a PSA. It's darker now. My face is darker. I'm running out of daylight. Do not forget to save that color when you change it, because you will forget and you will be in a pickle. I'm gonna go around here with an airbrush tool, and we're gonna go. Now it glows. That's cool, right? If you have an art software that you can get rid of that, because that's what it looks like without it. And you can go to filter and Gaussian blur, and then I'd increase it, and it'll give you a uniform glow. But for most people, that's a lot. So you can just go around with an airbrush and it looks about the same. So I have the airbrush at about 15% opacity, just because that gives it that nice like glow, but not like too much. You don't want to like oversell it. It's not too crazy. That green is definitely gonna get like covered up a little bit if you go too much. All right, so now this is basically finished. And if we look here, whoa, look at that. Now it glows. Now it's super prominent and it glows and it's cool and it's, look at his fist. Look at Yuji's fist. It's so cursed energied. There's a couple more things that we can do. You can add a little bit of white. A little bit of white with the oil pen, and you can have it like complement. That is our finished cursed energy. You can add little bits of variants, you can add different colors, you can do all the stuff that they do in the anime. The basic rule is that you just need an outline around every bit of the blue. You need a little bit of variance in the way of like a fire. That's what I like to do it as, like a fire with like little bits spinning out. It's a little bit chaotic. A little action and movement, so you can see that it goes around the fist. It like caresses the fist, and a little bit of post compositing, a little bit of airbrush around it. If we were to put a background, now that looks cool. This is something I can do for fun, and that's just to darken the middle of it just a little bit. I mean, we're really stretching for detail at this point. Make sure you combine all of your layers so that it exports correctly. If you keep it at 51% and you export it, it's gonna render it at 100, and you don't want it to render at 100, because if it's 100, then, well, you lose all the detail of the fist, and that's not good. And just so you know, it's not perfect, right? It's not perfectly 50% every time. It's like this teeters between 50 and 45 and 55, and that only just adds a little bit of flavor. Wow. Look at that, guys. You guys are so cool. You did that. That was you. Look how much darker my face has gotten. Lord Almighty. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, I can teach how to do a black flash, which I've also known how to do. Obviously a little better than this. Subscribe. And I will catch you in the next one if this video gets... I'm not even gonna ask, because the last time I asked for it, I was like, if this gets like 20,000 likes, I'll do it. And the video's at 1.2 million views, so the like ratio is pretty freaking high. If you want to see more of my animation content, check out Revival, the animated series, link in the description, and I will see you in the next video on the Lowe channel. Goodbye. God, that was an hour, Jesus Christ.